Have you ever really looked around a food court? I mean, really looked? For every category, there's a battle. A war. For burgers, you have McDonald's versus Burger King. For subs, it was Subway versus Quiznos. For pizza, it's Domino's versus Pizza Hut. It's a law of nature in business. Where there is success, there is competition. But then, there's Chinese food. And in that vast, global, beloved category of cuisine, there is only one undisputed king. Panda Express. With over 2,500 locations and billions in revenue, they are a giant. But they are a giant that stands utterly alone. There is no Pepsi to their Coke. No Ford to their Chevy. No other national Chinese food chain even comes close. And the question is, why? If you think it's just because their orange chicken is addictive, and it is, you're only seeing the tip of the iceberg. The real reason is one of the most incredible, hidden stories in business history. It's a story about a secret, century-old system designed to prevent a company like Panda Express from ever existing. A story of survival, ingenuity, and how one family found a loophole in an unbeatable system to build an empire. This isn't just the story of a restaurant. This is the story of how to conquer a market that's been rigged against you from the start. To understand Panda's solitary success, we have to go back. Way back, not to the opening of the first Panda Express in 1983, but to the 1850s. The California Gold Rush. When news of Gold Mountain reached China, thousands embarked on the perilous journey to America. But most weren't coming to swing a pickaxe in a mine. They were smarter. They saw 100,000 hungry, desperate miners and realized the real gold wasn't in the ground, it was in feeding the people digging for it. They opened restaurants. And they were a sensation. They served delicious, hot, and most importantly, cheap food. In a lawless boomtown, these Chinese restaurateurs gained a reputation for their incredible work ethic and fantastic cuisine. But boom quickly turned to bust. As the gold dwindled, the miners' gratitude turned to racist resentment. The Chinese became the scapegoat for a shattered dream. This wave of hatred culminated in one of the most shameful laws in American history, the Chinese Exclusion Act of 1882. This act slammed the door shut. It banned the immigration of Chinese laborers and cruelly declared that the Chinese already in the U.S. could never become citizens. Their American dream was turning into a legal and social nightmare. They were trapped, with no jobs, no rights, and no way forward. But buried in the text of that hateful law was a tiny, almost invisible loophole. A crack in the wall. The law banned laborers, but it made an exception for a few classes of people, including merchants. And the American government recognized that owning and operating a restaurant qualified you as a merchant. Suddenly, a restaurant wasn't just a business. It was a lifeboat. It was one of the only ways to legally remain in the United States. It was a tool to sponsor visas for family back in China under the merchant status. The wok didn't just hold food, it held the key to survival. This single loophole triggered the creation of something extraordinary. A vast, interconnected, and decentralized network of restaurants that would dominate the landscape for the next century. Chinese immigrants, with nowhere else to turn, began to organize. In cities like San Francisco, powerful groups, known as regional associations or tongs, became the backbone of this new economy. Think of them as an unofficial, non-profit franchisor. An aspiring owner, who might be a distant cousin who just arrived from Guangzhou, could go to the association. They would be given a loan to start. They would be taught the essential, Americanized recipes, chop suey, egg foo young, dishes designed for the Western palate. They'd be connected with a reliable network of suppliers for everything from soy sauce to takeout boxes. But most importantly, they would be given a territory. The association would look at a map and say, there is already a family running a restaurant in this town. You will go to the next town over, 20 miles away. You will not compete with them. We are all in this together. This system was brilliant. It minimized risk and prevented internal competition, ensuring the highest chance of success for each family. The result? By the 1980s, While McDonald's was celebrated for hitting 10,000 stores, this invisible Chinese restaurant network was estimated to have between 40,000 and 50,000 locations. They were a secret army, hiding in plain sight. Every small town in America had one. Different names, different families, but the same menu, the same suppliers, the same shared system of survival. They had built the largest restaurant network in the country, all without a single brand name, a single CEO, or a single corporate headquarters. And in doing so, they had inadvertently created a fortress. How could any single company, any franchise, possibly hope to compete with 50,000 hyperlocal, family-run businesses with low overhead and a century of shared knowledge? For decades, no one could. The fast food boom of the 50s, 60s, and 70s completely passed the Chinese food category by. It was considered impossible to scale. The fortress was too strong. Until two outsiders decided to find a new way in. The story of Panda Express begins not in a boardroom, but with a love story. Andrew Cheung was the son of a master chef from Yangzhou, China. He grew up in the world of food and, after moving to the US, found his calling not in cooking, but in managing restaurants. He had hospitality in his blood. He met Peggy Cheung at Baker University. But Peggy was on a completely different path. She wasn't just smart, she was a certified genius. She earned a master's in computer science and then a PhD in electrical engineering. In the 1970s, as the personal computer was just being born, Peggy was working on complex software and systems for giants like 3M and McDonnell Douglas, programming for the US Air Force. While Andrew opened his first high-quality, sit-down Chinese restaurant in 1973, the Panda Inn, Peggy was living in the world of data, efficiency, and systems optimization. They were a perfect fusion of right brain and left brain. Art and science. For a decade, the Panda Inn was their focus. It was successful, but it was just one restaurant. Then, in 1982, fate came knocking. A real estate developer building the new Glendale Galleria, a massive shopping mall, was a fan of Panda Inn. He made Andrew an offer. "I love your food. Can you create a fast food version of it for my mall's food court?" This was the critical moment. Malls in the 80s were a universe unto themselves. They were a brand new ecosystem, a neutral territory completely separate from the street corner battles of the independent restaurant network. It was a loophole. A back door into the market. Andrew agreed, and Peggy made a life-changing decision. She quit her high-flying career as a technology developer and brought her PhD-level brain to the world of fast food. This decision would become Panda Express's ultimate secret weapon. The challenge was immense. How do you serve restaurant-quality, wok-cooked food at the speed of fast food? The family-run model relied on an entire family working long hours, cooking every dish to order. That wasn't scalable. First, they pioneered the model we now call fast casual. Long before Chipotle made it famous, Panda Express was prepping food in batches and serving it in a line. This prep and hold system was revolutionary. It maintained freshness while allowing them to serve hundreds of customers an hour. The open kitchen, the theater of the wok, with flames and the sizzle of fresh ingredients, wasn't just for show. It was a marketing tool that screamed fresh and authentic in a way a burger sitting under a heat lamp never could. But the real magic was happening behind the counter, in the code. While other small restaurants in 1983 were using a cigar box or a basic cash register, Peggy Cheung built a custom computer system from scratch. This wasn't just a point of sale. This was an operating system for the entire business. She used her expertise to create software that tracked inventory in real time. It analyzed sales data, telling managers which dishes were selling most at which times of day, allowing them to adjust what they cooked, minimizing waste to an unprecedented degree. It was a tool for scheduling, for managing customer feedback, for everything. Think about that. While Steve Jobs was just launching the first Macintosh, Peggy Cheung had built a proprietary data analytics platform for a single food court restaurant. This gave them an insane efficiency edge that no mom-and-pop shop could ever match. It allowed them to run their stores with a skeleton crew, just like a McDonald's, but serve food that was perceived as being vastly superior. This potent combination, the mall strategy, the fast casual model, and Peggy's bespoke technology, was the blueprint. They were insulated from the independent network, and they were more efficient than any potential corporate rival could hope to be. They rode the wave of the 80s and 90s mall boom, expanding rapidly from food court to food court across the country. They were building a national brand inside a bubble. By the time they were ready to leave the nest and start opening freestanding locations, they weren't just another Chinese place. They were Panda Express. A name people knew and trusted. They had achieved escape velocity. Naturally, the big players in the restaurant industry saw Panda's success and wanted a piece of the pie. They had the money, the real estate connections, and the marketing power. And every single one of them failed. Miserably. Darden, the owner of Olive Garden, launched a chain called China Coast in 1990. They poured millions into it before shutting it all down just 5 years later. Brinker, the parent company of Chili's, tried with a brand called Big Bowl in the early 2000s. It crashed and burned. Even Ruby Tuesdays gave it a shot. All of them failed. Why? Because they made a fatal miscalculation. They thought they were competing with Panda Express. They were wrong. They were competing with the invisible empire of 50,000 restaurants. These corporate giants couldn't match the low overhead and deep community roots of the family-run places. And they couldn't touch the operational and technological efficiency that Peggy Cheung had baked into Panda's DNA from day one. They were fighting a war on two fronts, and they stood no chance. Panda Express didn't win by fighting the fortress head-on. They won because they understood the history. They found a loophole in the system, the mall, and built their strength in a place the old network couldn't touch. They leveraged technology in a way no one else was, and they created a brand that could stand on its own, outside the confines of the traditional system. They didn't just build a better restaurant, they built a better system. And in the process, they became the undisputed, and only, king. The story of Panda Express is a masterclass for any entrepreneur or business. It teaches us that sometimes, the biggest competitor isn't the one you can see. It's the system itself. The historical forces and hidden networks that shape an entire industry. The Cheungs won not by playing the game better than everyone else, but by finding a way to create a whole new game. They honored the cuisine and the work ethic that built an industry, but they paired it with a level of technological and strategic brilliance that no one saw coming. And that is how you go from a single restaurant to a lone giant, standing tall in a category of one. That's how you build a brand that truly lasts. What other brands have a secret history you'd like us to uncover? Let us know in the comments below. And for more stories about the hidden genius behind the brands you love, make sure you subscribe to Behind Brand Success. Thanks for watching.